Hey, good morning, guys. It's Micah from Sapulpa Times. Happy Friday. I hope that your Friday's going well. Woke up to a little bit of maybe some cloudy skies and not a rainstorm, but some rain this morning. Had a good crowd show up for the Free Coffee Friday down at CTX. Hope you were able to get down there for that. If you're not and you want to join us next week, it happens every Friday from 7:30 in the morning to 9:30 in the morning. Each uh, week is sponsored by a different business or um, organization, or sometimes a politician, things like that. So we appreciated everybody who was down there able to make it out today. And if you didn't get to be there, then hopefully we'll see you next week. But earlier this week was the State of the City address at the first Joint Civic Luncheon of the year, which is something that the Sapulpa Chamber holds 4 times a year. It is always a good event to go to. If you had the opportunity to go to this, I would highly recommend that you do so. The first one is the State of the City, and then they do a legislative session where they bring in different legislators in from the area. And then they've got a couple of one that's about schools, and then another one that's about something else. I can't remember what it is. But this week was the State of the City address, and it was where the mayor primarily, and also the city manager, took time to kind of reflect on some of the amazing achievements that Sapulpa has had over the last year. And so I would have to say that 2025 has been probably one of the most memorable years in recent history for the city, primarily because of the extreme undertaking that we did with the downtown Dewey Streetscape plan. I don't think very many people would argue with me about that, the difficulty that it was getting through that and the delays and everything is probably not something that we're going to soon forget. But in the same way, I don't think that very many people would argue that the outcome hasn't been fantastic. I mean, if you're looking downtown now, it is gorgeous down here. We do have an increased foot traffic. Everything that people said was going to happen after the Dewey Street reopened for the tourism season is starting to happen. We're definitely seeing that. You can ask any of the business owners that have a shop down here, they'll tell you the same thing. And it was pretty interesting, though, how much of the stuff that happened over the last year kind of went under the radar. And so I wanted to uh, basically bring some of that back out. If you've read the story, some of this is going to be stuff that you've already heard. If you haven't read the story or you haven't seen my building just shook. That was crazy. So I think there's some other construction happening downstairs. So anyway, if you haven't seen the story, or maybe you saw the comments and stuff, and social media is great for this, that people will tune in and they'll see the headline or the picture and they'll just chime in with their comments. And as you guys might know by now, that if you do that on Sapulpa Time, chances are that you might actually get brought up onto the show. And so we are going to do that. I've got a few comments that we're going to be showing you guys today. And yeah, so I just figured like the best way to kind of tackle some of the misinformation and stuff that's going on is just to tackle it directly. And so we appreciate the interactivity. You guys give us the comments. That's good content. Let's talk about that. And let's bring some answers for you. So I'm going to go ahead and start with the first one here. So we had the first one. Okay, so I'm starting with this one. We literally just got this right before we went live. This is David Luna saying, I don't believe the income statistics. And that if it were true, more businesses would invest in Sapulpa. The average price of a home is 274,000. We are way behind. Should have mentioned the highest tax rate in Oklahoma. So I will start off by saying that last sentence right there, I'm not sure if that's accurate. And I actually have put in a request to the city treasurer about that. The highest tax rate in Oklahoma. Now, I don't know if he's talking about property taxes, sales taxes, what have you. But I'm pretty sure that across all of those categories, Sapulpa is not the highest in Oklahoma. Okay. I don't even think we're close, honestly. But anyway, I'm finding out more information about that last thing because I can't give you an answer for that. What I can give you an answer for is the first couple of things here. The first thing that you mentioned is the income statistics. So uh, I haven't seen it myself exactly. I'm just going based on the graphic that everybody saw in the countdown and what we saw from the treasurer. So the thing is, though, if you're going to put out a graphic like that that says that your median income is 75,000 and your census, which your census data can be independently verified, and we have verified that Sapulpa has grown by 8.93% since 2020, which is actually, I believe, far above the expectations that we had when they started the 2020 geo bond. So that's been verified. But here's the thing. I mean, so we had like 100 people there or so at the State of the City, and these are people who are very much involved in the community. And so if you're going to put a statistic out there like that that's not backed up and verified, it's a pretty risky move. So I am more inclined to believe the statistic that they put out there of a median income for Sapulpa being 73 or 75,000 than not to believe it. Because, I mean, of the risk associated with that if you're wrong. So now I will say it's surprising to me because when we started doing the Sapulpa Times and we were looking at the median income for the town at the time, now this was roughly 10 years ago. At the time, the median income for Sapulpa was about $54,000. Okay, so it is a marked difference to say that the median income is now 73, 74, $75,000. Now we all know that there's been a lot that's happened over the last 10 years. Inflation and higher wages and stuff have become a part of that purely because everything costs more. And so people have to get paid more in order to pay for things. Okay. It's a very different Sapulpa 10 years later than it was when we started Sapulpa Times. But anyway, so I did want to point out that I'm more inclined to believe the statistics there, but we'll get all that verified. We'll find out for you. We'll let you know. So we appreciate your comment there. Okay, the next one. Uh, Tony Wadley said, "How about fixing Moment Avenue? If it's pride in the city, then there's no reason why our streets are in the condition that they are in." So now I cannot specifically speak about Moment Avenue. And Tony, I would say that you need to get in touch with your city councilor about that. A comment on Facebook is not going to help you out in this case, okay? So get in touch with your city councilor about that. But I do have a little bit of a response here based on the information that we got from the state of the city. So Mayor Craig Henderson got up there and said that I'm proud to report that we've completed nearly 7 miles of street repairs and overlays in all 5 wards of Sapulpa. And in addition, they've advanced several major reconstruction projects, and more than $4.5 million went back onto Sapulpa streets. Now, that is not counting the work that was completed through the ODOT contracts. So the ODOT contracts would be specifically like the Dewey Streetscape project. That would be one of them. And then the Main Street corridor where they resurfaced that and then came back and did it again. That's not counted as part of that. So outside of those very major projects, we still have $4.5 million that were poured back into the Sapulpa streets. So, I mean, Moment Avenue, it's probably not a great looking street. I don't drive that street, so I don't know. And I do know that we do have a couple of other streets that are on the city's list of projects, and I know that they're going to be getting them started. And he did say that this work will continue into the coming year. So these are residential streets. So I bet Moment is probably on that list, or they're looking at it. Burnham, I think, is another one that's on that list, or they're looking at it. So the point being, completing 7 miles of street repairs and overlays in a year is good, in my opinion. $4.5 million invested back into the streets is really good. And so, you know, I'm just trying to say that they are doing stuff. So don't think that the city's not working on the streets. Of course, they can't work on every street all the time, always. So these things take time, but they are working on them. Okay, and then the other comment that I wanted to bring up here, kind of excited about this one actually, is you always know that you're dealing with someone who is a level-headed person when they write their captions in all caps here, their comments in all caps, and include like tons and tons of exclamation points. So it says, "Fix the sidewalks." I'm not going to yell, even though they're yelling at us. I'm not going to yell. "Fix the sidewalks. It is deadly to be handicapped in this town. Instead of all of those high-dollar plants and planters on Dewey, fix the sidewalks," and then a whole bunch of exclamation points. And so my response to this is, it is not deadly to be handicapped in Sapulpa. to my knowledge, there has not been any direct deaths caused by a handicapped person as a result of the sidewalks in this city. I think we would know about that. There'd probably be litigation about that. Especially downtown. Downtown is the most accessible and handicap friendly downtown that I've seen. And I've been to a lot of the small towns and a lot of towns of our size, and especially now that we've got this open, we are very handicap accessible, very handicap friendly. And any of you guys who had to park in handicap parking spots in downtown before the Dewey Street reconstruction project, you guys know that it is obviously markedly better now. I mean, I don't think anybody can argue with that. And in fact, just this week, they're out there fixing the sidewalk to make it even more handicap accessible after an ADA guy came down and said, hey, there needs to be an adjustment to the ramp made right here. They're down there fixing that today. I mean, the concrete on that is drying right now. And so, lots of improvements made to the handicap accessibility. Now, I think I understand where this person is coming from here because there are large, well-traveled, heavily traveled swaths of Sapulpa, particularly on Taft Avenue comes to mind, where there are not enough sidewalks. I mean, anybody who drives Taft Avenue, you know that the sidewalks pretty much end right there at Main Street. And then for those who are walking down to Walmart, for example, it's hard to do. And we have to watch out for you when you're driving by. And I get that. But to make a blanket statement that like every sidewalk in town is somehow like dangerous to handicapped people, I think that's a hyperbolic statement. So instead of all the high dollar plants and planters on Dewey fix the sidewalks. Well, again, just to remind everybody that was part of the 2020 GEO bond. That money was set aside for that particular project. They did actually fix all of the sidewalks downtown as a result of that. Well, in this central business district anyway, as a result of that. And yeah, the planters are big and bigger than I think some of us thought they were going to be. But I mean, it's not like you had to choose one or the other. You got to fix sidewalks as a result of that, in addition to the big planters that are now being filled with greenery and stuff. And it's starting to look a lot nicer down here. So anyway, so those are a few things. Let's see. Someone else wanted to mention, that other comment I mentioned, I wanted to bring that back up real quick. So the income statistics, if it were true, more businesses would invest in Sapulpa. So I actually have an answer for that here. I got to find it here. This is one of the things that the mayor mentioned. Aha, here we go. In 2025, 42 new businesses opened in Sapulpa with 8 existing businesses changing ownership. And that is just in 2025. I know that just in 2026 alone, since January, what are we at the end of March here? So in the first like 90 days of the year, we've already got word about 3 other businesses coming in. We talked about the McDonald's coming in, Seven Brews coming in. There's a new car wash coming in. We know that there is another food and beverage kind of place being built at the old Sonic. We also know that I think there's another, the Mother Road Antique Mall that might have opened in November, now that I think about it. But I was going to count that one. So that's new. We got the Scissortail Sips, which is right here on Hobson. They're opening up. Carriage House has opened up. And then we've got the brand new one, the Root Cellar, which is in the old Doodles Hallmark building, and with Dickens Village for the Route 66 Christmas shoot. That is now going to be opening up. They're turning that into another multi-vendor space. And so I don't think, I really, the idea that businesses are not investing in Sapulpa, I don't see how anybody can come to that conclusion here. Maybe because we do have some vacant buildings, and there's ongoing conversations with some of those building owners to try and get those sold, because we do want to see that. I mean, the building is literally catty corner from me right here that has been sitting vacant and unused for several years now. And I don't know anybody who is not actively trying to see that change. I mean, it's going to be, the problem is it's going to be a lot of money. Okay. I mean, that is maybe $1 million project to get that back to where it could have a business and then be up to code and everything else. So, it's not going to be, it would need to be somebody with some deep pockets to make that one happen. But to say that there's no businesses involved investing here, in fact, there was another one that he had mentioned. What was it? It was AXH constructed a 49,000 square foot facility with another 100,000 square feet to follow. That's at 71st and Highway 97. That's business is bringing 300 jobs to the community. And so they've got that first building at final completion. Building two expected in 2026. The Muskogee Creek Nation at 49 and 117 is a 160,000 square foot medical facility. 117 Highway 117 and 49th West Avenue, bringing jobs, expanded healthcare access, and also increased dining and shopping traffic. And that means that if there's not going to be stuff installed there, they're going to be bringing more of that down here. So he mentioned homes. Let's bring that one up again too, because I have that on here as well. Just got to find it. Where was it? It was, that's maybe on the first page. It was, oh, here we go. I skipped right over it. Housing developments are underway, providing 600 single family homes and 150 multifamily homes. And some of these subdivisions include, and then they listed like a almost probably 10 different subdivisions that are being built. We just did a ribbon cutting for one of them earlier this week with the chamber, right over by the middle school. That's going to be like 37 units of houses that start at like $400,000. And so, people are moving here. We got businesses moving here, people are moving here. When you start to look at all that, the idea that we have a median income of $75,000 a year now is not so hard to believe, because Sapulpa is getting to a point over the last 10 years where we have the quality of life amenities, we have the new high school, we have the Christmas shoot, we have the shopping. We're still working on the dining, but we're getting the dining, and it's becoming a really great place to live. And so even for people who work in Tulsa, they want to live in Sapulpa because they want to get away from the hustle and bustle of downtown and come to a small town like ours that has this great small town charm. So anyway, it happens every time we put out a story that tries to talk about what a great thing the town is, and people just find things to complain about. So of course it's going to happen. It's happened before. It's going to happen again. But hey, we're going to still keep telling the stories from the town that we love, because we love the town that we live in. Okay. All right. So let me, before we end it today, let me remind you guys about a couple of events that are happening. Don't forget that tomorrow is the free night for Sapulpa, Widener, and Manford at the Creek County Speedway. And then, so yeah, all you got to do is basically show your ID or something proving that you're from Sapulpa, Widener, or Manford, and you'll get in for free at the Creek County Speedway tomorrow. It looks like they say pits start at 2 p.m. and the stands, I guess, open up at 4. So I think if you show up at 4 o'clock, it'd be your best bet there, unless you're part of the pit crew. I don't know what that means. I don't know racing terminology, guys. So sorry. The other thing is the show that is starting. We're in the last weekend. I just got the numbers for this. We are starting to sell out on some of these. So if you haven't been to see the Charitable Sisterhood of the Second Trinity Victory Church, we've got Thursday show was last night. We've got shows tonight, tomorrow, and then a 2 o'clock matinee on Sunday as well. There are still seats available for all of those, but they're going to start selling out quick. So you're going to want to go ahead and get them now. $15 for adults and $5 for students pre-K through 18. Get your tickets now at sapulpatheater.org. Okay. We have got a lot of good stuff coming down the pike, guys. Flowers are getting installed. We're going to start getting the super petunias here in the next couple of weeks. Tourism season is about to bust wide open. We're going to start seeing a lot of Route 66 stuff happening in the town that we love. So you guys stay tuned. Be sure to stay tuned here to Sapulpa Times. We're going to tell you about everything coming up. I believe tomorrow we're supposed to release the last of the city council interviews. I did sit down with Kent Glessner, city council candidate for Ward 5 yesterday. We recorded that interview. We're editing that today, and then that'll be released tomorrow. So you guys be looking for that. And then I just met a new candidate for a congressional seat this morning, and we're looking at possibly doing an interview with him. So we may have more coming on that. But the last of our city council candidate interviews will be coming tomorrow, and then it'll be election day, like the next week. So you guys stay tuned to what we got going on here. We will keep you in the loop on everything happening in the town that we love. Thanks for tuning into the Timeloop Live. I'll see you again on Monday. Hope you guys have a great weekend, and we'll see you again on Monday right here on the Timeloop. Have a great weekend, everybody. Bye-bye.